second. I think my headphones are working now. Okay. So besides technical difficulties, we're coming back into the new year. We're coming back, we're trying to come back strong. Let me see. Nicholas Capone is here. He is just in the back.
I'm back. I got stuck in the backstage realm.
Oh man.
Welcome back.
But yeah, I'm like, lots of exciting things happening this new year. It's actually, one of the things I wanted to set out for last year. We achieved all our goals. I think, it's always good to see what we did last year before we get into the new year stuff. But one of the big things that I kind of want to celebrate a little bit, and then also look forward to the new year. But first, I want to talk to Damien Torres, our man over here, because he and I were talking about our favorite comic shop. Isn't that right, Damien? And is hello. Damien's also having technical difficulties. That's okay. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, man, Damien really doesn't want to talk about our favorite comic shop. But, let me see. How are you doing, Kate? I haven't seen you in...
I'm good. I just moved back to Brooklyn, so that's why my walls are so empty.
Yeah, I was about to say new place. It looks like a brand new place.
Gotta get some posters soon.
Is this now where you're gonna stay? You're gonna stay in New York?
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a time when you were about to do a cross-country road trip and then just leave, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I was apartment hunting in the summer and it was crazy. So I just moved in with some friends, finally found a good spot. Yeah. New York's always the home base.
I like to hear that.
We got the bodegas.
Suzie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, pretty well. Almost missed the stream because I fell asleep on my couch, but
That's all right.
But I made it. I woke up like at 10 to 8.
I know, and we got you in the workshop today.
Yes.
Good times of you in that workshop, making some real cool outfits for Lunar Smoke. And also we have some big news, and maybe that's the best way to kick it off, Suzie.
Oh, sure.
It's a Treehouse exclusive release you dropped.
Yeah. So big changes for us this year because I'm having a baby. So.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you very much. Yeah. So due at the end of March, which is super exciting, and it should be fun. I think it'll be could be real fun to get the little one involved in some costume stuff, maybe dress her up as some Pokemon or something. Be a good time.
I like to think of it as the first Treehouse baby. Is anybody, that's a cool not to have. Nobody else has one of those. I think, I don't know. But yeah, me and before Damien disappeared. Something that we were talking about is the closing of comic shops, which is something that we're all trying to fend off and avoid and also promote at the same time. Why is my thing? But before we get into all of that, Chris, how are you doing? You want to? We haven't actually met officially or even talked that much. But,
yeah, it's actually really crazy because you added me on Facebook a few days ago, and I finally accepted your friend request. And not only do we live in the same town, but we also went to the same college and know a bunch of the same people, which is fucking weird.
I did see that, and I was like, how have I not, met you this entire time?
Yeah, the same college isn't that crazy, but living in the same town is I'm sure we know each other, know at least some of the same people. I'm sure I've seen you, recently and didn't even notice.
It's all possible. It's all possible for sure.
Yeah, the fact that we haven't run into each other, we go to the same cons, live from the same. It's honestly kind of crazy. The first time we meet is gonna be special, I'm sure.
We've gotta, you know, make this like a weekly thing where we kind of go out. You know what I'm saying? And meet up in person. That would be crazy.
Yeah, we could grab Pat, just rub it in Stokes' face, basically.
Oh, of course. And now I've been trying to get with Nicholas Capone for a while now, isn't that right? I've been trying.
Yeah. I'm in Jersey. I'm not that far.
I've been trying to, you know, but it's always great having Nick here, and me and Nick have been talking a lot about what we call cheesecake, but also good girls and bad girl comics. And I don't even know what the difference was. Nick, can you actually explain to us the difference between a good girl comic and a bad girl comic?
Yeah, so like, I guess the bad girl comic genre kind of stems early '90s, where it was just pure sexy. Usually, a lot of the characters were like dark and, you know, witches and sorceresses and like hellish creatures, kind of like Lady Death, Vampirella. Really kind of, the artist would typically really up the sexiness of the books. And then like good girl stuff, you know, I guess it's just like a growth off of that. I think, yeah, maybe you could classify maybe like Witchblade as like good girl art, because technically, even though you could be very sexy with Witchblade, you know, Sarah Pizzini is still, I guess, wholesome at heart. You know, she's fighting for good. She's, you know, she's not, you know, she might be somewhat corrupted by the Witchblade, but ultimately she's still a cop from New York, and she's, you know, she's trying to be the good guy. So I would classify her as good girl art. You know, like Lunar Smoke, I would definitely think is more good girl. You know, she has that sexiness, but she's using it for good. You know, you got the bad girl art, kind of like, you know, Niobe and Mary Machine Gun and a lot of those other really awesome, bodacious female characters that are kind of like, they never left the 90s, and that's not a bad thing.
Right. And you said a lot of cool things there, and I definitely like that Lunar Smoke is a good girl. You got Salutations, General Piggy. That's right. How you doing, General Piggy? One of my favorites. Welcome back to the new year. And we got Damien Torres back. So all around, it just, things are looking up. Things are already looking up in this new year. Something I was super excited about for you, Nick, was you have a Bad Girl comic coming out.
Yeah, coming. I'm trying to launch it around my birthday in June. It's called Purity, which is ironic since it's a bad girl book with a character named Purity. Basically, it's a project I've been working on, or kind of refining, I want to say, for the past 14 years. It was a character that went by many names, and then, you know, ultimately this year I was like, you know what, I think I'm finally ready to share her story, and I'm refining this, you know, refined her character and her world, and I'm working with a lot of really awesome people on the book. I have an editor. This is the first book that I'm going to be having an inker. I just, you know, always wanted an inker. Inking, ironically, even though I ink Reign of Ages, and I like inking Reign of Ages, but inking was never my forte. So it's awesome to finally get an inker on board, and yeah, we're planning on launching in June, and the script is done. Sent my layouts to the editor, which you probably know her, Alexia Veldhausen. She's the editor of Reign of Ages and also co-creator of 47 Furious Tales. So it's a lot of fun. So I'm just awaiting Alexia's green light, and I can't wait to start penciling. Really.
I can't wait either. I want to show them this character right here. I have it up because it's some of the most inspired designs I've seen from you, Nick.
Thank you.
This is her character. It's called Purity. You have a very cool art style, and we're talking about doing a cover on my new book that I was asking you advice on.
Yeah.
Definitely lock that up soon enough. But I think the aim was for around August. there'll definitely be some overlap and maybe even a crossover. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool.
But Damien, I wanted to give a moment of silence to our favorite comic book shop. Which,
Yeah. First off, it's good seeing you, Nick.
Good seeing you too, man.
Go way back.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the Spider's Web, it's been a sad time. Like you and I first met there, of course. But that's a shop that's been part of my life for the last 10 years, and I've known Paul and Andrew there for a very long time now. Within the 10 years. But Andrew and I, we actually went to the same elementary school, so we kind of have further, life interactions there.
This is Paul and this is Andrew for anybody who's
Yes.
questioning.
Yeah. So it's always kind of heartbreaking, especially for the comic industry, whenever a comic shop. But in this case, I had a personal attachment, and it's something I'm still trying to process. It was a really sad week, the last week there, but I also know with Paul in particular, being the owner, this was just the right move for him, and brighter futures in both their cases from here on out.
I'm glad to hear that, they will be missed. I definitely just wanted to highlight them because they were one of my favorite comic shops and big supporters of the indie community. And, without them, we only have Kickstarter, and crowdfunding platforms. So we really like our people who support us, Spider's Web in particular. But I'm curious if maybe anybody, but mostly Nick or Damien, if you've heard of this other place that is also going through. It's really all comic shops, but this place is called Fat Jack's. It's a comic shop in Philly, and it's one of the oldest in the country, right?
Oh, wow.
And it also is claiming that it's going to shut down its doors unless it can reach its 20K. It actually claimed it needed 80K, but this would at least buy them some time, and they're actually pretty close to reaching it. I checked it maybe like a week ago, and it was at around 5,000, so it definitely gained some traction.
I saw there's like a comic collective in Philly called Philly Sequential, and they just like work with the artists and create a community for that. But yeah, they were posting all about that.
And so you've heard about, one of the things that makes me think about it, they listed some pretty interesting, they list exact reasons of why they're closing down too. They're just like our government EP aid for the COVID shutdown ran out. And then they were claiming that they were in trouble, years before, and they kind of made it worse. And then once their thing ran out, now, their loan basically, their grant, they couldn't do it anymore. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh man, are more shops gonna close now? And then it hit obviously our neighborhood, mine and Damien's neighborhood, and then we're gonna see now what else happened. But it's an interesting thing to think about as we try to support, local comic shops and try to get in there.
Yeah, there's a shop I heard about, I think in Canada, that was just like recently broke into. It's like someone like literally chainsawed the door down and went in there and like stole all like their graded copies. So yeah, they lost tons and tons of money just from that alone.
I've been hearing about stuff like that too. That's why people like Ozzy, Kate, they lock up like pretty heavily in their stores when they close down, and it's kind of like an old school style thing to do, but it's necessary. Chris, what is your favorite comic book shop around here?
Around here, honestly, don't go to comic book shops too often. I really read a lot
man.
of digital stuff and get most of my stuff off of Kickstarter. Honestly, like I've been, like when I used to go to comic book shops, it was to go play Yu-Gi-Oh, and so I haven't been to any of those in a long time, and I'm sure it would be a weird experience now going in, seeing everybody that was like sweating playing Yu-Gi-Oh back in high school, and but yeah, I haven't really been going to too many places around here. I mean, I think it's a compounding effect though, like with the pandemic, like a lot of comic book stores, as you were saying, were weren't doing very well before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hits, and inflation goes up. People have less money in their bank accounts. You can't really spend the money on books. Maybe you're still pre-ordering though because you want to support people, but now your shop is like out of money because you can't pick up your pre-order. It's like a whole thing, and it makes it really tough for everyone. And it does suck for us that are like Kickstarter. Some of us, or I don't know everybody here on the panel, but I think most of us we do Kickstarter or crowdfunding, right?
Except for this man right here is a superstar. If you walk into any local comic shop, you'll see his name pop up.
Hey.
Isn't that right?
Yeah. I don't want to. I don't like bragging, but yeah, like it's definitely like what I've noticed though over time, and I'm not sure if it's just sales or even I don't want to even use the word reliability, but obviously the shops I go to are very welcoming to indie books, and they'll gladly take them. And some of them, I know with Reign of Ages, for example, me and Sam Quinn, we made a special tier for retailers. But I've heard through a few people with their own indie books and maybe their local LCSs. Some of these shops really try not to take in a lot of indie stuff, and I'm like, that's very weird. I guess with Diamond and everything, I think the only things they're trying to push out are like the new Marvel and DC books and maybe Image. But it's very bizarre to me how apparently some shops really won't touch indie. I guess they're afraid of, can this make me money? Can this make my shop money? Or, would I rather just get the next shipment of like Batman books in and just, make my money off that? And it's a little like, I don't want to say discouraging, but it's, I feel indie's going to be the way. I'm a firm believer, and I've been telling like my students this, the Kubert School, you're going to see in the next, it's happening now slowly, but you're going to see within the next 5 years, you're going to get what I like to call the second indie renaissance. And it's kind of like going to repeat the 90s Image boom all over again, where indie's going to be in like the hugest demand it's ever been in a long time. And not to say that DC and Marvel sales will plummet or go down, but you're definitely going to see a lot more people wanting indie. So hopefully that's the case. But it was definitely, it took me aback a little bit when I heard that some shops won't really take in any indie these days.
I think that's interesting that you think it's going to be a few years from now, the Renaissance. I think it's happening right now. I think
it's happening as we speak right now.
Yeah, I think we're deep in it, and I feel like it's difficult to, as a writer, you can hit up any artist now and they all have like 2-3 projects lined up. Mm-hmm. Everyone is working, everyone's grinding out books. I just released my book, Ctrl Z, on Kickstarter this week on Monday.
Oh, cool.
And every single day afterwards, at least 2 campaigns from people I know have come out right afterwards. So not only are we all, yeah, that's it right there, Ctrl Z, brand new sci-fi action series, art by the awesome Ricardo Secchi, colors by Marcos Martins, letters by Reed Hinckley Barnes. And yeah, it's a really awesome story. It's the first series, other than the first series that I did, the Saturn Effect, that I'm bringing to Kickstarter. So it's a new venture. We funded in less than 12 hours. So it's awesome to thank you.
Congratulations, man.
I appreciate that.
We have Neff saying that indie renaissance is already happening, and this man knows a thing or two. That's for sure.
Exactly.
I'm happy to hear that.
Thanks for taking Chris off my hands. Oh, that's right. I saw that Stokes had like some kind of description on his YouTube channel. It's like no Chris tonight, massive dub, and I think hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I still make all the thumbnails. The show going to be L content without the W host, but it's fine. They'll have to survive for now.
Marcos is the best. Good pick. I don't know. I feel like Chris knows exactly what he's talking about. We'll see. The real test, Nick, will be when Purity comes out. When Purity 2 was better than Purity. That's going to be the real test. We'll see kind of.
Yeah. I hope. Fingers crossed.
I almost forgot that you are a professor too at the Kubert School.
Yeah. I currently teach digital production, which is I'm a colorist by trade, so it's like your digital coloring class. I also dabble with some like storyboarding, so intro to storyboarding. Like it's the first year group, so it's very basic level. But yeah, I get to teach them like a few things, mostly digital stuff, and it's always fun. And it's also really fun because there'll be sometimes, especially for my coloring class, where I'm working on something, and then I'm working on like a book, and I get to show my students like my process, and they really enjoy seeing that. And the really cool part is, and Damien could also attest to this, because Damien was a third-year student at the school when I was a first year. I was like just turned 18 years old, and you're surrounded by these pros like every day. Like I have lunch with like Tom Mandrake and Jan Dursema, like these two massive legends in the industry. So it's kind of surreal just being there.
Kate, was this your experience too, going to art school? Was this your experience?
Yeah, it's weird to have like these people I've followed on Instagram since I was 18, kind of just like heart reacting to my stories now. You know, like these illustrators.
You gotta
that
get some
are just like,
what's it called?
so
Some clashing
funny.
up in here, some rivalries, because Kate is actually from SVA.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
And Nick got Damien from the
Yeah.
Kubert school. And then
So I teach
What
at
school is it?
The Kubert School.
Where is that?
It's in Dover, New Jersey. It's
Okay.
yeah, it's
where is it? Oh my god.
That's shady. I've heard of that, but I was like, is it in the city? I can't remember because I never.
Yeah.
I teach in an art school in Hartsdale called One River School of Art. They have like different locations. They started in New Jersey, but they've been expanding throughout the country. And one of my students, she just got accepted to SVA, so she's trying to pursue a possible comics career herself. And yeah,
It's great. It's for comics.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Klaus Janson teaches at SVA. If I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Yeah.
I know. Also, I had Bill Griffith. who
Okay.
makes the Biggie comics. It was 50 years ago. But yeah, super cool. They have a great comics department.
Cool.
So, and Chris knows well all the rivalries of school of your college never end. You know what I'm saying? Chris knows.
Yeah, we know. Anytime anybody mentions Columbia, it's up. We're
Actually,
fighting.
any other they mentioned any other school in the city.
Yeah, SVA,
already,
yeah, that's already fisticuffs right there.
Yeah. So, but it was kind of cool experience. Kind of learning about art school after I went to school. I didn't even know that was entirely honest. I didn't even know it was a thing. But then after meeting Kate, really, and then you're thinking it's super cool. And then, but it's also a great resource for anybody who wants to find artists. Like I look, Nick sent me Kai Dia, who's awesome of an artist, and it's like there's so many young talent out there, young talented people. So.
There's a artist I follow on Instagram. I think he goes by Tomic Art, but like the kid's 17 and he's putting out work that I don't even think some of the pros I've seen out there are capable of putting out. Like this kid's like they're coming in younger and younger. I noticed every year you're seeing like these like young like 17-year-old kids, and they're just like doing professional work, and I'm like, whoa. I'm kind of happy to see that too, because even when I was a student at the school, I guess you can consider it, I felt like a minority, because a lot of the students who were attended at the time I went to, either they went to a different school and then went to my school, and so like they were a lot older, and so coming in right out of high school, I felt it was a little intimidating at first, but now you're seeing more and more students go to art school and pursue like even a comics career right out of high school, and it's so refreshing to see. And like a lot of these students, like a lot of my students are in that boat, and like it's almost like I could see myself in them a little bit because of their age when they started, and I'm just like, oh, it's pretty cool.
That was one of the things, I agree with the thing that people discount young talent all the time, like unnecessarily almost. And that's the thing when I first think about with Kate, I'm like, Kate, let's take over the world, like let's destroy the entire industry. and your art's already doing it. You know, like a lot of people are saying how good it is. So I don't know if anybody's
I feel
ever
like,
seen
like,
kids'
that's
art.
why the indie revolution is now. You know, like all these kids are growing up with iPads and YouTube tutorials and access to so much more. So it's so much easier to make this now. Super cool to hear.
Let me just share some of Kate's art on the screen here, so maybe everybody's caught up with how good of an artist she is.
Ooh, lovely.
Not the colors, but the line art. She's also a good colorist. That's separate. Then we have right there.
Yeah, we're working on the second half of this right now, which is exciting.
This is right here, the line art, and then she did actually color this. So
Very lovely.
that's right. That's right. Grader, give her an A+ right now, Nick. You know what I'm saying? Give her an A.
A++.
Thank you.
And then we have, you know, what are some New Year's resolutions before we want to kind of look into Chris's successful campaign so far? But what are some resolutions that we have for the new year? Anybody want to share anything that we want to do? Nick obviously wants purity, wants to be a huge success. Anything else you got?
Probably like, you know, I've been like knocking on their door like a madman in like different times, but if I could land like a Zenoscope gig for colors at least, like that would just be an achievement this year. Coffin, I would always say Coffin. I know they have their select colorists and like they have like Ula Moss and such, and like Ula's amazing, so I'm not hurt by that. I totally am like, no, go Ula. But like if I could ever land a Coffin gig at some point this year, that would be also like a milestone achievement. So those are like my resolutions. And then on top of that, you know, with Rain and Purity, like I'm excited to put them out too. So
That's exciting stuff. I know Damien also has a list of backlog things that he has to do. He's so busy that he can't even take on any more work. Isn't that right, Dave?
Yeah, it's been getting to that point. Last year was definitely the busiest year of my career by far, and for this year, 2023, we have like half the year like already booked up. So like Nick, I work a lot with Sam, and you know, it started off with doing a pinup for Nick's Reign of Ages, and I just did a second piece, the Lulana piece. I'm not sure if Sam already reached out to you, Nick, but he sent me like a print that came out for Lulana, and then the book I'm doing with Sam, Tippy, and the Psychedelic Mushrooms is some crazy, like, trippy type of story. But I have other stuff going on too. I did last December my first cover for Dynamite. It's a comic
Ooh,
story.
I was about to pull it up, just so everybody knows how good of an artist Damien is. You know, the amount of talent on this panel is actually crazy.
Yeah, and now that was Red Sonja, Hell Sonja #1. And then next month, Vampirella versus Red Sonja #4, which hasn't been shown yet, but it's going to be really soon. And I've been doing stuff for a Marvel game called Marvel Crisis Protocol, which I also haven't been allowed to share yet, but I have stuff coming up with that, and I just signed on for another gig for something else that I can't really talk much about yet. And I did work for a National Geographic documentary I should be dropping in March. So
cool.
I've been
Damien is
doing.
telling us there's hope. You know what I'm saying? All right, Kate,
That
there's
sounds
hope.
so cool.
Yeah, so I guess like if I had any real resolutions this year, it's really just to go even bigger than last year, and I definitely want to do more cons. I haven't really done much conventions, and I started pushing out more last year, and last year was also my first time tabling at New York Comic Con, and I definitely want to do that again, and hope to like travel to more places.
I like that. Suzie, any fun resolutions you have besides obviously, you know, the biggest?
Pretty much just like make it through the year is what I'm going with. you know, it's gonna be a big year with a lot of change, so it's kind of just like handle that somewhat gracefully is
Yeah. No, I
what
agree.
I'm going for.
Out of curiosity, like you obviously like planned, you wanted to have a kid, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, we were really excited.
Cool. And you know, one of the things that you know, are you still gonna do more cosplaying? Are you gonna?
I very much hope so. Yes, I'm like probably like the sort of earlier stuff this summer season. I probably won't be able to get out to any of just because you know, little people get sick very easily.
Yes.
But you know, probably some of the later stuff in the year I'll be able to go, and I'm just imagining how much fun it's going to be to have a scroller to put all my shit in.
You can also dress up the kid in cosplay and
Exactly.
then like, have like a whole new world of cosplay open up to you. Honestly,
Yeah, so that's also something I'm looking forward to.
if people are
That
unaware
could be
with
really
with Susie's excellent cosplays, she was the first ever Lunar cosplayer. Is that the right term, Suzie? The first.
Yeah, I guess
Lunar
so.
Smoke?
The first Lunar Smoke. I was
Wow.
at an event and people are like, "What are you?" And I'm like, "Well, that's the cool part. It hasn't even happened yet."
Yeah, some excellent photos here, and then a lot of these were actually used on the, or two of them were used on the covers already. And we got Dean here from Down Under. You know, he's already giving his eyes emoji. We're saying what our resolutions are, Dean. But you know, I think that's super cool. I think that's exciting, and you know, I think when we look into what we achieved, like, you know, last year and then this year, and then, you know, sometimes it's just surviving it, you know, and then going through to the next year. I think it's going to be a fun year, and of course, we have to get. Do you have a name, or are you keeping that private, or do you want to announce it? Another second bigger announcement on the trio?
Yeah. So we have like a couple of names in mind, but we're still waiting to sort of see what fits when we finally meet her. So
Okay.
it'll be a surprise.
We'll always surprise us, and then
we-
we'll you know, have her on, and we got to see her. You know what I'm saying? We've been all this way. You know. I'm going to draw more in Smoke class. Well, that's it's a possibility. I don't know. You know, it's definitely not a bad resolution. I don't know if it's a good one. Kate, any resolutions for you? I know that every time I remember, I was thinking about, you know, how Ozzy keeps telling us that he's going to get us some more store signings, and then just and I keep yelling at him that he hasn't.
Yeah, definitely want to do more store signings. That was fun. Really want to get into Desert Island. Get our second book in there. Or, I mean, the second part of Rush in there, which is super cool. And yeah, I want to start working on like some animated things. So I've kind of played around with it, but it would be cool to, even like animated webcomics would be really cool, you know, just not animation. But yeah, lots of art goals. The same as every year, you know, just thinking about like big projects I want to do. Yeah, and then there's also Society of Illustrators has Mocha Fest. I don't know if you guys probably heard of that. Yeah, really want to do that this year. So.
Interesting. I like that. You know, I think animation is cool. When you said part 2 of Rush, do you have a timeline for anybody, Kate, including myself?
Yes, I'm like wrapping it up right now. I feel like I can show you. All of the so now all of the pages are just kind of like being fun.
And just so everybody knows how much fun we had during our our store signing, we sold a lot of books. We were right there at Ozzy's shop, Best Comics in New Hyde Park. I don't know if you know this, Chris, but we'll definitely have to go sometime. And I'll introduce you to Ozzy. He's a cool guy. You like Ozzy,
sure.
right, Kate?
Yeah, no, he's super sweet.
And fun time. Chris, what have you got on the new year? We have your campaign, but like, what else do you want to do this year
Besides Ctrl Z, well, so I usually try to start my New Year's resolutions a few months before the year starts, so just to like get get ahead and feel like, because I know once we get to January, a few days in, I'm off the wagon. So if I got a couple months back, like banked, it's all good. But yeah, I want to make sure I kickstart way more this year. Starting off with Ctrl Z. That's why one of the reasons why we started in January. I always have like some sort of printing mishap that has happened on every other one of my campaigns that has made it so I can't go back to back to back like I wanted. So we have a bunch of stuff in the backlog that I want to get out there finally. And I just want to write more. I want to make sure that everything that I'm doing is something that I have agency over. I did a lot of pitching to a lot of places last year, and I got a couple picked up, which hopefully we'll see a lot more information on soon. And by soon, it's like, in a year or two, which is just how it is with publishing. But like now, like you sort of lose that ownership, not that ownership, but that agency with it that you have with kickstarting. And I just want to like write more comics. I want to send more stuff out to managers and producers and things like that, and just like write things that I have like as much control over, and just churn it out. I'm always trying to write a bunch, and 2021 I wrote a shit ton, but 2022 I kind of fell off the wagon. You know how it is. You like go through some life stuff and it takes a minute to get back on it, but now I'm really motivated to just
exactly how hard writing can be. I actually did all my writing for this year over the Christmas break, so I didn't have to write any more this year. It was intense. I just shut myself in the room, and then I was like, that's it. But then I wrote all the 6 issues that are going to be released this year. And now it's off to the artist.
Nice.
We got Frog G in the house. How you doing, Frog G? But so it's cool that I want to take a look at this campaign really quick, because this is your your last campaign was a while ago too, correct?
Yeah, last one was in I think around May, end of May into June.
And that's like more than half a year. What are you doing, my guy? Come on.
It was a long time. We had a printer mishap where we had this beautiful book. And things happen, shit happens. I don't have a copy in arm's reach, but one of the pages was off. We had like lost a black page that was there for spacing. So once you're off by one page, everything, all the spreads, all the 2 pages, they're all off. So it was rough. And then the printer that we'd used had just gotten hit by a hurricane, and that took a long time to clear up. So it took a long time for us to finally get everything out and get it into people's hands, but the second that we did, we were literally right onto Ctrl Z, and it honestly sort of helped out, because now when people are getting their the Saturn Effect Alpha books, they'll get on the note that I gave them, there's a preview link to Ctrl Z, so they get their book, they're like, oh wow, it fulfilled, and then they head over and they back this project. Which we've been working on for a long ass time, actually. This first issue we've had done for a long time. I even had it at Brooklyn Comic Con last year for the first time.
First issue, okay.
Yeah, the first issue that people were able to get their hands on. And yeah, it's something that I pitched to Ricardo. I saw Ricardo was actually recommended to me by the artist for the Saturn Effect, Francesco Mazzoli. And he was going to do a variant cover for us, but the first second I saw his art, I was like, yeah, we have to make a series.
Gotta get him on the...
Yeah, so I wrote him, I wrote an idea that I thought he would love, and luckily he was really into it, and we just ran with Ctrl Z, and yeah, this is the culmination, or it's not the culmination, but right now this is where we've gotten over the past couple years, and we're almost done. It's only 4 issues. This is halfway done, so we'll have 2 more campaigns after this before we hit the volume trade. And it's sci-fi. It's awesome. It's Ctrl Z. It's an awesome sci-fi story about
Just so everybody knows, what is the actual function of Ctrl Z on your desktop?
To undo.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
I need to answer that for myself. You know what I'm saying?
Has anyone here ever yelled Ctrl Z at something you were drawing before? Because that happened to me once.
Whenever
physically painting with acrylics.
So yeah, sometimes I'll be drawing traditionally for the first time in a long time. And I'm like my left hand, because I'm a righty, so I'm drawing. My left hand is trying to press these invisible keys. I'm like, wait, why did that not I'm like, oh wait, duh.
Yeah, I've been
The thing
using
too-
Procreate a lot, and on Procreate you have to like double tap to like erase or step back. And there's times where when I'm working traditionally, I'll be drawing something, and instead of like instinctively going to my eraser, I just double tap the paper. And yeah, I think all artists can relate to this.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic. I've got a question for you, Chris. And this is everybody's thinking it, all right? Why is this NSFW? Nick Capone, would you consider this an NFSW cover?
NSFW. I think it's more like it's a looter cover, but like unless the Kickstarter logo is blocking something that's like censored, then yeah, I mean it's pretty NSFW, but yeah, it's like in like a sexy pose, and yeah, like I'd say it's pretty NSFW.
All right. Chris, why did you go like even more extreme?
So when I first started making this series, I actually wasn't going to promote the sort of like sexy side of it. It was one of the things I was honestly gonna like just like not really mention. If when people saw it, they saw it. But then I saw how well Galarian did and how well stuff like Patchan's Cheeky did, and it was sort of just like kind of a wasted opportunity not to use it for the marketing. And so yeah, you could definitely go a little bit harder with the not safe for work variant, but I thought like it's not safe for work, but it's also kind of cool, like it's not just like her naked and just like breast out and stuff, like it is a foot thing, but it was all marketing. We're trying to hit a certain audience and try and get some money.
And then you have my favorite cover here. This is pretty cool.
Oh, by Tina Valentino.
Oh, I love this cover.
This looks, I think it's like one of the best design covers I've seen in a while on Kickstarter.
You said Tina Valentino?
Yeah, this is a Valentino cover with the colors being James O'Freddy, who's on a book that she's amazing, and she blessed us with this piece, and so I'm really happy that she did. And the colors, James. We also have another project together that I can't really talk too much about, but next year we'll hopefully be able to see all the things that we've been working on. So we have a bunch of people, like returning people from other campaigns that I've done, other things in the Red Sea comics, and then some new people that we wanted to bring on, Andrea Scalmazzi, Tina Valentino, and others.
How do I get it? Is this right here how I get it, Chris?
Yeah, that's how you get it.
Oh man.
Oh,
like to hear.
live. Are you just you're not dossing yourself?
I learned the hard way not to do it, but I'll show it after it goes through.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a limited. It's a virgin cover. It's for issue 2, and it's a Kickstarter exclusive. And the way that we do Kickstarter exclusives is, I appreciate that, Armin.
Absolutely. Everybody else should go back it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, anyone that can back anyone listening, make sure to check out Ctrl Z. And yeah, no, it's a good time. It's fun to be doing this and getting back on the crowdfunding horse,
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk to you more. Actually, now I know we live so close to each other. Kate actually doesn't live too far away. Who knows?
Oh, really? You're on the island also?
I'm in Brooklyn now,
Okay.
but I'm from Long Island, from Suffolk.
Oh, you're from Suffolk. Oh,
So I'm all the way out there.
It's a little further out, yeah.
That's.
What?
I'm kidding. NASA, they're just like NASA supremacy, you know what I mean? It's just like if you're from NASA County, you're just like it's the only place on Long Island, and like Suffolk is kind of like the South, the South of.
It is. It's like
Long
Middle
Island.
America on Long Island.
Yeah, it's crazy. You just cross a border.
You like go into a Taco Bell there, and they're speaking in a different dialect.
But
Yeah, it is crazy, but no, that's really crazy how many people are from Long Island that are doing the comic book thing, or from New York in general. I think I may have passed you, Damien, at New York Comic Con, but I guess I didn't stop and say hi.
I'm actually based out in Yonkers myself, so I'm in the New York area too.
All right, cool.
I had passed Damien, and I definitely stopped. I remember it was a cool moment. I was like,
Well,
Damien,
yeah, ever since. So it was crazy. It was like the day that I met you at the Spider's Web. Like that was the same day I found out that I got accepted to the Comic Con. And like ever since, I've just been like bumping into you everywhere.
That's right. That's rule number one: always be everywhere. So that
Yeah.
every time somebody bumps into you, it's just a cool coincidence. You know?
Yeah.
What's the next con you're going to, Armin? Sorry to cut you off. I'm
I think it's
curious.
gonna be CradleCon. I don't.
CradleCon?
It is one of my favorites. Our friend Ozzy, it's one of his favorite cons. I know Pat loves that show. So
Yeah, I mean, well, considering we're close to each other, that's literally like 10 minutes away. Not
yeah, it's
even.
that's why it's my favorite. Yeah,
It's literally at Hofstra. I was like, wait, what the hell? This is the closest Comic Con I've ever seen.
Kate, if you want to come to that one, feel free. Of course, Nick could come to any of these if he so pleases. You know, Nick, I got an interesting question. In your experience, and you know, you're the man for Keystake, in my opinion. You know, like I have a question. Who do I go to? Nicholas Capote.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
So first, here's Lunar Smoke 3. We have 130 followers. Let's see if we can try to get it up. You know, the question is, what do you think is better, Bad Girl or Good Girl comics? Which do you prefer, and which do you think the market likes?
I mean, I'm very biased because I'm a huge this is literally staring right at me. I'm a huge Lady Death guy, so like I even it would require me to pull down my pants on a live stream, but I have a Lady Death tattoo. I have Lady Death everywhere, like in my office. But like I definitely grew up reading Bad Girl stuff. So I definitely would say Bad Girl. And the one book that I remember mentioning to you, I read it, Tarot Witch of the Black Rose by Jim Ballant. I was reading that, and I'm like exposing my young deviant self, but like I used to read that when I was like 12, maybe almost 13, and like my parents caught me and they weren't so pleased that I'm reading basically softcore pornographic bad girl books at a young age. And but that was like, I want to say, my gateway. I've always been like a Jim Ballant fan. With his 90s Catwoman's my favorite run. I have like, I'm on a mission. I have like 50 of his covers out of like I think 92 issues. But I definitely, going back to what you're saying, I'm definitely sided with Bad Girl stuff. I did develop a soft spot for Good Girl stuff. Like I'm a huge like Witchblade guy, like stuff like that. But ultimately, I have to go back to my roots and Bad Girl books all the way.
That's great. I want to ask Damien's opinion on this as well. Before I do, I was looking that Frank Cho was given in the 90s, I believe, Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, and he made it a Bad Girl book originally, and then like towards the end, towards this release, he reversed and made it Good Girl. And I was like, what is happening? So I thought that was just like an interesting thing he did. Damien, what do you prefer?
Vampiro would fall under, I guess, Bad Girl, right? In some ways. And then Red Sonny's more of a
like good
girl, right? Right? It's kind of like a really thin line between those characters in particular. So I'm gonna have to say Bad Girl then, because Vampirella, the really early Warren and Frazetta stuff, and especially Jose Gonzalez, like that's some of the earliest artwork that like I kind of fell in love with. My dad was a huge Frazetta fan, and that put me onto that right away. And then discovering Frazetta like designed Vampirella's costume, and seeing what Jose Gonzalez did with the old Warren comics. I love that art. I think that's some of the best art ever published in comics. And so, I had to go with Bad Girl and stuff too. But I think there's room for all of it.
Yeah.
That's good. Is this who you're talking about, the Jose Gonzalez? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
His stuff is gorgeous.
Yeah. And I have the artist edition that we put out for this stuff too, and It's beautiful.
That's been in my Amazon card for over a year now. I'm waiting to like pull the trigger and
Yeah.
like.
So last year I did it was also a Kickstarter thing, a book called The Haunted Box from Iron Age Comics, and we were going for like that Warren old school horror type of anthology vibe with it. Fulfillment should be starting in March. So as we were producing it, and I was talking to John Santana, the main writer on this whole thing, we were going back to like all the old school stuff, Warren Comics, EC Comics, all those books, and we try to make it as old school as possible. So I went to like a larger page format. I did everything traditionally. I try to go for the same kind of lines that Jose Gonzalez did. Not trying to like replicate the style per se, but a lot of those comics back then, they had more of a European vibe to the line work and the way they go about their hatching and cross hatching and such. It's more of a delicate line compared to like what American comics do at the time. So that was my excuse to pull the trigger, Nick, because I had that in my cart for quite a long time too. And I was like, I got to get the best source possible, right? So I was just studying the hell out of that book.
And it's also like interesting you mentioned that too, because I've noticed that not only with that, but I feel like outside of obviously European books, that European style, I'm seeing it's making like a slow comeback with creators, and it's there's such a charm that European comics have, and man, like one artist I really love, I think he's Spanish, but his name is Guillaume March, and he has his, it's actually like right here, his book Carmen, and it's, the art in here is gorgeous, and what I love about it is that especially from a colorist perspective, the colors are so simple, and it really it does such an incredible job telling the story, setting the mood of everything. It just works, and I feel like a lot of European comics, they're not flashy, but they're so, I guess, elegant, which I think what I love, and I love seeing that, especially that era of Vampirella. I feel there's just like it's like a timeless style for me, like, and I love that it's making kind of a comeback.
Yeah, totally agreed. I think the stuff Jose was doing was just so far ahead of his time. But there was lots of artists doing the same thing, like similar things. I think he was probably at the top of his game, but he had lots of Italian and Spanish and Mexican artists going for like the same kind of vibe at that time. Kaluta is another like big one. There's Randy Nabretz. He's another one who really popularized that kind of look and approach too. Yeah.
I know, if I'm not mistaken, like in like, I don't know if it was like the 70s or 60s, but like Barbarella had that European style too, and it was it's so gorgeous. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very cool. I think we all went around and set our resolutions, what we want to accomplish this year. I myself want plans to release 6 books. I'm, I guess, like almost tripling down on the Lunarverse and building it out. I'm excited for it. While also, finishing a project with Kate and a few others that we have going on. One of the big things, I'm excited for is the growth. I mean, Chris, you see the growth. This is your best campaign so far. Same thing with, I think, where we all are. I think it's good to like stay where we are, and then we'll recap next year. At the beginning of next year, and see how far we've come. I think it was 12 campaigns ago. It was last year. It was literally last January. I launched my first campaign on Kickstarter, and then now I've seen the growth, and it's such a cool thing to experience. So I would like to, first, thanks all for coming here and talking about our resolutions and comics and chatting. It's always cool hanging out with you guys. But if we go around and I guess just say, where people can find you and all that fun stuff, and then we'll have somebody say the last resolution. Suzie, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram Instagram and Twitter, but I don't really ever update my Twitter, so maybe don't go there. Instagram at Suzie, spelled the same. Oh jeez, the same. The same way as here. _cosplays.
Yeah, everybody's. I think I put everybody's social media handles in the description. Kate, where do people find you?
I also mostly use Instagram. Kind of stopped using Twitter, and kind of going into the ground anyway. Now that we have Elon running it, but yeah, on Instagram I'm half Blush, and you probably find me on Armand or something.
Chris, how do you feel about these people not being on Twitter? What do you have to say to them?
Oh man, I mean, I don't hate them for not being on Twitter, but is Instagram really that much better? Instagram is like you're getting throttled so hard, nobody sees any of your posts. It's rough. It's a rough place. I mean, the only place really to go, honestly, in my mind, is TikTok and YouTube. But I'm definitely gonna follow you, both of you. Anyone can follow me at r Chris Moses on Twitter. You can also find me on Instagram at Red Sea Comics or at The Saturn Effect. And then you can also find my campaign, Ctrl Z, funding right now until February 8th.
I've also linked it in the description. Nick Capone, you're everywhere. Where can people find you?
I am on Twitter, but I think I'm my most active on Instagram, and it's at Nick Capone Art. I pretty much post pretty regularly. But yeah, you could definitely find me there, follow me, shoot me a message. And I usually stay up to date with like convention appearances on there and upcoming projects I'm on, so you'll definitely see a lot of me on there.
Damien Torres.
Yeah, so I try to make it easy, and I keep it as Damien Torres Art on Instagram, Twitter. I think the same at ArtStation. I keep it the same everywhere. And just like Nick was saying, whenever I have new news to update, I always blast all my social media feeds with whatever news is out.
Is that a Kuber thing that they teach you? Like the art or after your last name?
I mean,
No, I don't think so. I think it's one of those things that a lot of artists seem to do it.
Pretty
So,
standard.
yeah,
I used
it's,
to have that.
it's
Yeah.
like to the point, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I think it
Just
tells
Kate
people
does
right
not
away.
do it.
Like,
I
this
I
is
used
what we
to.
do.
I used to, and then my LA influencer friend was like, "You gotta change that."
Right. I mean, I just use real Armand Messine, so it's. I understand. I get it. It can just be simple.
I mean, I was like, for the longest time, my AIM back when AIM was a thing. Like, I was a huge Sonic kid growing up, so like I was a fan of like Sonic Heroes, and that was part of my tagline name. And I'm just like, there was a certain point, I'm like, this can't be my art account's name. That's just too.
So before we end, somebody's gonna say one word to end us off the stream, right? But then I forgot that Pat Shan. We had a New Year's resolution party this past weekend, and his word of the year is gonna be double. And he just this man, they call him a six-figure Shan because he had a 100K campaign. His one word was double, just so people understand here. So we're rooting for him, and I think I've kind of adopted that word as well. But let's see, Nick Capone, what word would you give us for the word of 2023? Last word to end the stream.
I guess power. Let's go with that.